Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo. Today we'll present another great program with Dick Eppstein of the Better Business Bureau. But before we get to that, I'd like to ask Peter Handwerk to come up to the podium to deliver a reflection and have Jim Boswell lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Dear God, let us be faithful witnesses to the power of your love. Let our lives mirror hope in the midst of despair. Let our deeds be filled with compassion in a world of bruising indifference. Let our words be truthful when misinformation holds center stage. Let our forgiveness build new bridges of reconciliation. Let your Spirit fill us with courage and hope so that as we move forward as individuals and as members of this Rotary Club, we never lose sight of the fact that our decisions and actions will be fair, will build goodwill, and will be beneficial to all concerned. Bless our speaker today, who will share his knowledge and expertise with his fellow Rotarians. And finally, bless this food to our use and us to thy service. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Peter and Jim. As we begin our meeting today, I'd like to thank and acknowledge this month's sponsor, Yark Automotive Group. I'd like to have greeter Nate Gregg come to the floor mic to introduce today's visiting Rotarians.
Good morning, President Dick. We have one visiting Rotarian today. Visiting Rotarian, please stand as I read your name and remain standing until President Dick welcomes you. We have with us Rob Graham from Perrysburg. President
Rob?
Dick, these are our visiting Rotarians.
Rob's back there. Welcome, Rob. Nice to have you here. Now, if anyone has a guest they would like to introduce, please come to the floor mic so we can see you, hear you, and acknowledge you.
President Dick and fellow Rotarians, we have a visiting Rotarian who is also a guest. He's visiting from Nigeria today. His name is Shohinka Lanri, and he visited us 10 years ago.
Wow. Welcome.
President Dick, I have two visitors today. Jim Barron, who is, this is his second visit, and he's going to be joining the club. He just recently retired from Owens, Illinois, as counsel there. And also, new to Toledo, relatively new, Jim Widener, who's Chief Operating Officer for this region of Mercy Health, and he's going to be joining the club.
Wonderful. Welcome, Bill.
President Dick, it's my pleasure to introduce Gonzalo del Castillo. Gonzalo is from Lima, Peru. He also is with Owens, Illinois, and is serving as the leader of a total systems cost unit. He's been in the United States with his lovely wife, Amina, for about 6 years, and a few more years to go on his assignment. We're going to try to get him involved here in Toledo Rotary.
Wonderful. Welcome.
President Dick, I'm pleased to introduce Ryan Miller. He's Vice President of Brokerage Services at Reichel Klein.
Ryan, nice to have you.
President Dick, fellow Rotarians, my guest today is Larry Watley. Many of you remember him from many years of broadcast journalism in Toledo, and Larry's in town to continue his radio program, and he's a colleague of mine. We are using his voice for a project I'm working on currently.
Welcome, Larry. Great to have all of you with us. Thank you. Now would be a great time to check into social media to let everyone know that you are at the Rotary Club of Toledo meeting. And then I ask you to please turn off or silence your phone for the rest of our meeting today. I'd like to invite Zach Vassar to the floor mic to give an announcement about the upcoming Vassar Memorial Golf Tournament.
Thank you, President Dick. I'd just like to encourage my fellow Rotarians to join us at the golf tournament this Saturday at Spuyten-Duyvil. This is in memory of my late brother, Jim, who was a very happy Rotarian. There's my favorite picture of him holding up a can that's been modified from Budweiser to say, "Go Bucks." That is Jim Vassar in a nutshell. So for those of you who knew Jim, or for those of you who didn't, I would encourage you to come out. Registration begins at 11 o'clock. Shotguns start at 1 p.m. at Spuyten-Duyvil, and for more information, see VASMANGolf, VASMANGOLF.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach.
And I'd just like to add to that, proceeds from this benefit 3 charities that meant a lot to my brother. The American Brain Tumor Association, the Hickman Cancer Center at ProMedica, and Rotary Club of Toledo.
Thanks, Zach. Now I'd like to invite Hannah Murad to the floor mic to announce Zoo Day on September 28th. I thought I saw Hannah. There she is.
Good afternoon, President Dick and fellow Rotarians. We're having Zoo Day September 28th, and we're asking all of you, or as many of you as possible, to come out and help us volunteer to help us with the children. It's, again, September 28th. Zoo Day.
Thank you. And I do encourage everybody to sign up for Zoo Day. You can do it online. There's also a sign-up sheet right outside where Emily mans the table. So it's a great event. At this time, I'd like to invite Ford Bennett to come up for an announcement.
Thank you, sir, and good afternoon, everyone. My goal today is to make everyone aware of 2 incredible service opportunities through the International Service Committee, or ISC. Before I jump into them, I'd first like to talk a little bit about the ISC so you better understand the reason we want to support these endeavors. Our goal is to support international service projects that meet the following criteria and focus. 1, be sustainable. Support projects that our members have a connection with and are likely to stay involved with over many years. 2, create partnerships. Support projects where we partner with other clubs to leverage funds through the district or RI, therefore maximizing our efforts. 3, foster relationships. Support projects where we have a true connection with local clubs to ensure accountability and follow-through. 4, support MESA, a District 6600 international service project that we are all automatically members of. And finally, 5, be hands-on. We want club members involved with exciting, hands-on international service projects that lead to the experience of a lifetime, develop new, and fosters existing relationships with other Rotary clubs. It is with these criteria in mind that I'd like now to present 2 opportunities for you all. First, our committee is continuing our support to the USLA Rotary Club, and I hope I got that right. Good. Through a joint project led by our sister club in Swanton, Rotarians have participated in a series of building repair projects. This ongoing project is made possible by the development and continuation of a long and successful partnership with the village of San Pedro Sula and the Rotary Club of Usula. A long history and strong relationship exists with clubs in District 6600 and the Rotary Club of Usula. The impact of simple building repair, improvement, and maintenance has brought basic amenities such as running water, lights, and structures that are safe to live in to many villagers that may not have the aforementioned luxuries we all take for granted. The next opportunity to continue the development of key infrastructure in the village of San Pedro Sula will be this coming January. Second, the ISC is working very closely with Resources Centers International, a partner of MESA. Their work in Belize focuses on bringing educational equipment such as books, computers, and other educational material to the impoverished nation. You don't need a degree in information technology to help set up computers, paint a classroom, or organize a bookshelf. Travel to Belize will occur this November, and again in the early spring of 2019. We realize this is a much shorter turnaround, but the opportunity to make a lasting impact and increase the education level of youth in Belize is worthwhile. Since the cost of travel can be the first barrier to service abroad, our committee is proposing 2 grants to cover those costs during the September 21st FAC. If and when these funds become available, an announcement will be made. So, if you're interested in serving Belize, Honduras, have more questions, or would like to discuss other ways you can make an impact with these projects and other global initiatives, please approach our committee chairman, Mike Noble, or myself, and we'd be happy to have that discussion. Also, our next International Service Committee meeting will be held at 4:30 p.m. September 25th at Rockwell's, and is open to everyone and everyone. Thank you.
Well, I also have several announcements today, and that's why the room is so cold, to make sure you all stay awake during these announcements. First of all, I know we haven't fined anybody for a while, but I'm going to fine myself $10 for forgetting to put on a tie today. First announcement I want to make is Polio Plus at the Pub. This is a new event we're going to do this year to raise awareness about polio eradication. It's also a nice social event. So we're going to get together on Wednesday, October 3rd at the Paula Brown Shop Pub. It's an event right after work from 5 to 7:30 p.m. There's going to be entertainment. There's going to be great food from Sidon Restaurant. And it's going to be Rotary-provided entertainment. So you just don't know what you might find or expect there, but it's going to be good entertainment. And we're going to be selling tickets. You can go online now, $10 a ticket with the cash bar. A portion of each ticket's going to go to polio eradication, Polio Plus. Paula Brown Shop is donating the facility and also kicking in 10% of what they take in from drinks. And so go to ToledoRotary.org for tickets. We'd like to find out in advance how many people are coming so we can gauge the food for that. But it's going to be a great event right downtown here, great social time, great way to support Polio Plus. The 20 Under 40 program recognizes young leaders who have distinguished themselves in our community. I'm very proud to announce that 16 of the nominees for this award are Toledo Rotarians. And you'll see their pictures on the screen: Michael Abernathy, Andrea Dorston-Ebert, Andy Fox, Rachel Hobson, Rob Crane, Tyler McKeon, Kevin Mullen, Jonathan Roudebush, Chad Rutkowski, Dennis Swan, Jordan Stroll, Sarah Swisher, Robert Tucker, Ryan Whitman, Daniel Woodcock, and Dave Zink. So I think that's fantastic to show the caliber of folks we have here. I want to promote that I encourage everyone to support our nominees and attend the awards event for 20 Under 40 on Monday, September 24, at the Valentine Theater, beginning at 5:45 p.m. Tickets are available online if you go to 20 Under 40 Toledo. I'm very excited to have our youth exchange student, Manuel Carriega, with us today. And Manuel, if you'd stand up and if we could recognize Manuel. Manuel is a junior at St. Francis, and he plans to try to get here as often as he can, maybe once a month for our meetings. And I invite you afterwards to introduce yourself to Manuel, and we hope to be hearing from him later on in the year when he's had more experiences here, feels comfortable. He's a great young man, and we're excited to have you here, Manuel. Last but not least, I want to talk about and ask you to check your calendars and plan to attend a new event bringing together several of my favorite things. For the Love of Pie features pies from nearly 10 of the best area bakeries and raises money for PIE, Partners in Education. This brand new event is this Thursday from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the Toledo Club. Delicious pie, cold drinks, and an organization founded by Toledo Rotary doing amazing work in the community. What more could you ask for? There are a few sponsored seats available to Rotarians and their spouses. The normal cost is otherwise $35, but these are already sponsored seats. So please contact Rotarians Kevin Mullen, who is president of the PIE board, or Michelle Klinger, executive director of PIE, if you would like to attend this Thursday, 5:30 to 7:30 at the Toledo Club. I plan on being there and sampling all the pies. Now I'd like to invite Foundation Chairman Kathy Mikulajic to the podium to present a grant check to Luna Lakatos, co-founder and executive director of SSFAC.
On behalf of the Toledo Rotary Club Foundation, it is my pleasure today to present a grant check in the amount of $10,000 to social services for the Arab community. The grant is for their family education plan. Our International Service Committee members received the request, participated in the vetting process, and made the decision to recommend grant approval to our club board and foundation trustees, and the grant was recently approved. It is due to the countless Rotarians who give unselfishly, which enables us to provide these grants. Thank you to everyone who continue to support the Toledo Rotary Club Foundation so we can continue to aid in supporting the needs of our community. I'd like to invite Luna Lakatos, co-founder and executive director of social services for the Arab community, to come to the podium to accept the grant and share a short version of how our foundation's gift of $10,000 has helped their organization.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for the privilege of having me here. I would like to thank the Toledo Rotary Club and the Rotary Foundation for their massive grant that they gave us. It really helped us greatly in our educational program, the Family Education Plan. Our program is designed for Arab families, and what we wanted to do, we wanted to bring the whole family together. We provided 2 segments for that educational program, one for the parents, for their English communications, and for ESL, English as Second Language, and the other one are for their children. It's for their children, and it's called the Student Homework Help. And what we do is we help them with their homework. We help them achieve a higher GPA in their classrooms at schools. We would not be able to get that program running if it wasn't for the help of people like you and people who have good hearts and are willing to give to causes such as ours. As we all know, Toledo is have a lot of population of Arab descents, and it's having the most population per capita in the nation. And we are privileged to provide services for, actually I am Middle Eastern. I don't know if you can tell by my look. Probably you can. So I wanted to help the people from the Arab descents. My husband, Shane, he's an outreach director also. He's an American, but he also had the heart for it. So we both co-founded, and we founded the organization, and that's like our that's the only thing that we can do so that we can support people who has difficulties assimilating here in the community and becoming a member of our Toledo community. We are very privileged that we got the grant from you guys, and we're very happy and thankful for you all. I just want to share a small story, and then I'm going to be done. I hope everybody can understand my accent. If you couldn't tell, I do have an accent. So my daughter keeps on telling me, no, you don't, Mom. I don't know what she wants from me, but, you know. So the story that I have is for a child who came here as a refugee from Syria. And when he first came here, he did not speak any English. His parents were very worried about him and his brother and sister. They could not communicate in English. They went to schools, and imagine yourself, a new country, a new community, new language. You are not familiar with anything, sitting in a classroom and trying to understand everything and all the direction that's been given to you in another language. It was very, very hard for them. Just last year, he came to me and he was so excited. After he was been in the program for a year, he showed me his honor roll certificate from the school, and he's on the honor roll, and he did so good in it. I was so proud of him. And then he kept on getting me like more honor rolls. He was so proud of it. And if this would never happen if it wasn't for your help. These students, they came from other countries. They're immigrants and refugees. Specifically the refugees who came from other countries, they had to stay in a different country where they waited for their papers to come in here. And mostly they stayed in Jordan before coming here to the U.S. For the vetting process. And they did not attend any school at all. So they've been without schooling for almost 2 to 3 years. So it's a new school, new country, new language. And we loved it that we were able to help them. And if it wasn't for your support, we would have never been able to do so. So I would like to thank you so much for your generous donation and for your generous grants. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Luna, for letting us know more about your organization. This time I'd like to invite Program Chair Judy Siebenek to introduce Dick Eppstein.
Thank you, President Dick. Dick Eppstein is the president of the Better Business Bureau that serves 24-county area of Northwest Ohio, Lima, and Southeastern Michigan from its offices in Sylvania Township. He's a graduate of the University of Toledo and the Better Business Bureau Institute for Executive Development in Washington, D.C. For over 46 years, Dick has been involved in Better Business Bureau work. He is well known as a regular guest on the Toledo WTOL-TV Channel 11 and is also a regular radio personality on several area stations. The Bureau, under his leadership, has established a national reputation for innovation, especially in its ethics instruction, charity review, and advertising review programs. Among other honors, Dick is a 3-time past president of the Ohio Better Business Bureau and has been elected to the Scott High School Toledo Hall of Fame. He belongs to the FBI Citizens Academy, the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, and other professional organizations. Dick and his wife, Grace, live in Sylvania Township. They are proud parents of 2 sons, Andrew, who is chief of general surgery at Roudebush Veterans Administration Hospital in Indianapolis, and Alexander, who's pastor at Bethel Reformed Presbyterian Church in Sparta, Illinois. They have 4 grandchildren. So please give a warm Rotary welcome to Dick Eppstein.
Thank you, Judy, President Dick, and everyone in Rotary. It's good to be back. And it's been about 5 years since I talked to the club. I think the last time I talked, it was about the ethics program that we created in Toledo, and it's going very well. I want to introduce, while I'm here, 2 very important people in the BBB. Jean Haynes, our Director of Operations. Jean, are you back there? Would you please stand? Where's Jean? There she is. And Jean really runs the place. I just show up once in a while. And Lynn Doty, who runs, she's the new director of our ethics program. And Lynn has been with us just a short time, just about a year. But Lynn, Marilyn Levine, who many of you know, used to run the ethics program and created the ethics program. She's not here today, but Lynn has now taken over the program and is doing a super job. I really enjoy speaking to Rotary and filling you in on the latest things that are going on, and that's what I want to do today is update you on what we're doing and what the scams are. The Better Business Bureau is almost, in Toledo, almost 100 years old. We were formed in 1919 in Toledo by a group of business people. Folks do not understand that the BBB is a business ethics association. We're not government. And the business community was fed up back in 1919 with false advertising. There was just so much terrible advertising that the business community got together and said, we've got to do something about this. And so they created this animal called the Better Business Bureau, which there's about 100 cities that have them now. And they're amazing, aren't they? Some of those. Oh, you have no idea what I could have put up there. It's amazing. Asthma cigarettes. Yeah, that's fun. It isn't stopped, incidentally. This kind of junk is still going on all the time. We just put out an alert on a pill that you take to protect sunburn. You take the pill, and it prevents you from having, you don't have to wear sunscreen. You can just take this pill. This is going on right now. It's being advertised now. Well, anyway, I started with the Better Business Bureau. I have not been with them since 1919, contrary to popular opinion. I started in, 1972. I got home from the service, and they hired me as a consumer educator. That was my first job for the first few years. Toledo was very different in those days, as you, of course, some of you remember. Some of you were not here at that time or were not born then. But Toledo was very different. And I thought what was interesting is that the first video game was introduced in 72 when Pong came out. And it wasn't just the Toledo that was different. Offices were different. We didn't have computers, copiers, fax machines, internet. We didn't have social media. Long distance. Anybody remember long distance? A few of you? Okay. Long distance. My wife is Chinese. She's from Hong Kong. And when her family wanted to call us in Toledo, they had to take the tram down to the cable and wireless office in the Central District of Hong Kong, and they would crowd into this little booth, and they would phone us in the United States. It was $6 a minute to call the United States from Hong Kong. And now, of course, with Skype and Viber and Vonage and all the other services, it's virtually free, which is one of our real problems, because the world is calling us, and we can't stop them. When I started in those days, the first thing I always talked about was the big three scams. And number one, of course, the number one scam always was anything that begins with the word congratulations. That was always... I mean, people wanted to believe that they had won $1 million. They had won sweepstakes and Irish sweepstakes and everything else. And we had to explain to them that you never send money to claim a prize. This is still a huge problem for us. Even all these years that I've been doing consumer education, people still think they've won a contest, and then all they have to do is send money to claim the prize. The second biggest scam was make big money working at home. Addressing envelopes at home. We pay you $3 for every envelope you address according to our directions. And I used to talk to audiences and I'd say, they pay you $3 per envelope. How many envelopes could you address in an hour? They're going to pay you that? It was crazy. But people want to work at home. They're looking for such jobs. A week ago on Channel 11, I was talking about the same scam. This time they claim to be Amazon, and they're looking for home workers. And you have to send $200 for an employment kit or some other scam, and of course none of it's true. The third big scam in those days was amazing discoveries to lose weight. This was advertised all the time. You will lose, pounds melt away, no exercising, no dieting, eat everything you want. And you can't imagine, nothing can convince people that these are scams. People want to believe that there's an amazing discovery to lose weight. And we had one company that advertised a pizza and cheeseburger diet to lose weight. Now, I've been on that diet for years, and I can testify. It doesn't, there's nothing crazy enough. People, I've told these stories before, but it's true. We had one company that advertised a weight-reducing pill that you put in the nozzle of your shower. And And the instruction said, as you take a shower, the pounds melt away. And they send for it. And I would tell this at speeches, at block watches, and at senior groups and so on. And as I was leaving, every once in a while, somebody would corner me and they'd say, do you have the address for that shower pill that... No, I don't have the address for it. Oh, I mean, that's just... How many you want? I mean, we had a weight-reducing bubble bath. You soak 15 minutes in the bath, and as you soak, this stuff opens the pores in your skin, and the fat oozes out into the tub, and you lose weight. I don't want to clean that tub. I'm sorry. That's not for me. This was 40 years ago. And the world has changed since then. The world is very different. We keep fighting the scams, and we do it. I never talk about how Better Business Bureau fights the scams, but there are three basic ways. Now, there's a lot of other stuff we do, but number one is helping consumers find legitimate businesses so they don't go to the crooks. And number two is exposing scams. And number three, something that is new for us, teaching ethics in the last 10 years. We average, something like, 3,500 consumer complaints a year. People come to us for help. They want us to assist them. We settle about 85% of the complaints. And we get something also new, customer reviews. We're close to 4,000 customer reviews this year. If you're in business and you don't know how important customer reviews are on the internet now, you better find out. Customer reviews are gold. They are enormously important now. That's what consumers look for. Although BBB gives out over 1 million reports a year on our internet site, consumers really need help finding the right place to go. We have 6,300 businesses in our 24 counties that support BBB, and we rate all businesses. We don't just rate the companies that are members of the BBB. We rate everybody. It has no difference whether you pay us dues or not. It does not affect your grade. And we give grades and we give stars. It doesn't matter. Now, to join the Better Business Bureau, you have to have a B or better grade. You can't join if your grade is lower than that. And our services are always free to consumers. Our ratings divert millions of dollars. You should come to our office, and you're welcome to, and listen to the phones. Listen to what our people in our office are counseling consumers. Ma'am, you didn't win that prize. You don't want to send that money. We're conserving millions of dollars that people otherwise would send away to the bad guys, and we're diverting them to the good guys. If somebody calls us up and says, I don't know a good remodeler to hire, we have Request a Quote that they can just click on it online and get lists of good companies. And reviews. Remember I said how important they are. It's no trick to get negative reviews. If you're in business, somebody's going to be unhappy, and they're going to go online and they're going to tell everybody how terrible you are. That's not hard to find at all. What's hard to get is positive reviews. And we have a service called Your Reviews that businesses can use to get the positive reviews, the things you want. So that's the kind of stuff Better Business Bureau does. Now, the second thing we do is exposing scams, and that's me. I'm the guy on the news all the time. I'm the bad guy who's always warning about I'm the Grinch, somebody called me. They wrote an article in The Blade, and they said Eppstein was the Grinch. But I am. The biggest scam in the last 5-10 years has been robocalls. These recorded messages. I've got Rachel up there, and Rachel is the champion of robocalls. I get messages from her on my phone all the time. Hi, this is Rachel from Card Member Services. You've been pre-approved for a credit card. You're going to get a wonderful deal. And just, number one is, if you get these messages, don't believe caller ID. Because caller ID is spoofed. It's faked. The way they do it, and especially the way Rachel does it and her friends, and she's got lots of friends, the way they do it is their algorithm plugs in the first 6 digits of your phone number. So when you see on the caller ID that somebody's calling you from your home area, you think it's local. And you answer it, and it's somebody calling from Manila or the Ukraine or who knows what, trying to sell you some scam. Don't believe caller ID. And the second thing is, if the message says, like Rachel says to you, if you'd like more information on our wonderful deal, press 1, our extended credit, our extended warranty on your car, your extended mortgage that we can give you at a better deal, whatever the pitch is. If you want more information, press 1, or if you don't want to get the calls anymore, press 2. Don't press 2. These calls come from all over the world. 2.5 billion a month. And that's just my phone. I don't know what you get. 2.5 billion a month. And if you they don't know who they're calling. But if you press 2, you send a signal to these con artists that your phone is a live phone, and they will go on the dark net and sell your number to everybody else. So don't press anything. Just hang up on these guys. There are call blocking services. We've talked before. I talked with Chuck earlier about Nomo Robo, Robo Killer, Haya. I use Haya. My Mr. Number, Truecaller. These are services you can put on your phone if you've got a smartphone, and there are ways to interfere with and stop a lot of this junk. But nothing stops it for all. Now, when we talk about, when we talk about the scams, because long distance is free, the world has discovered rich Americans. And this is what we deal with now. I'm calling from the IRS, robocalls, and you're in big trouble. We're taking you to the grand jury. We're sending a car out to arrest you right now. A big chunk of these come from Mumbai, India. They come in huge numbers. And when they call, you get this recorded message, a robocall message, and it says, we're going to arrest you. If you want to know more about it, press 1. If you do, or call back their number that they give you, you get somebody with a very thick accent that's sometimes hard to understand, telling you how they're going. And they don't know American names. So sometimes they'll say, yeah, this is Dennis Quaid calling you from the IRS, or this is George Washington calling you from the IRS. They don't know. But when you call them back, they proceed to try to get money out of you. And this has been the biggest scam for the last 3 or 4 years in the whole country. 26% of all robocall scams have been IRS calls. We had one consumer who heard me on the news talking about this. So when they called him, he called them back, and he got this fellow with a thick accent. And the fellow said, yes, you have to, we're IRS, and we're going to arrest you. He said, you crook. He said, you're not the IRS. You're just some con artist trying to swindle me out of India. And the fellow on the phone said, I am not calling you from India. I am calling you from Pakistan. And he swore at the consumer and hung up on him. He was very offended. No. Don't believe. And they called from the Edison that we're going to shut off your power. And they called from, the prosecuting attorney's office. You name it. Don't believe these phone calls. Now, we still have a headache with congratulations, you have won a prize. Publishers Clearinghouse is our biggest headache. They send out letters that look like this, that come from Publishers Clearinghouse, or they send out letters with checks attached to them, like this. These are all letters that have been sent to us. Lottery winners, you have won. And they send you checks. And they say, you have won all this money, millions of dollars. We had a consumer they were in Florida, and they got a phone call from Publishers Clearinghouse that they had won $1 million. Now, these are Toledo people, but they were in Florida. And the phone call said, look, you have won $1 million, and we at Publishers Clearinghouse, there's 2 ways we do it. Sometimes we come to your home with the prize patrol, with the balloons and the big van and everything, the big check. Or if you want, we can just send you the money privately. But under federal law, this is the kind of stories they've got. Under federal law, we can't withhold any money from your $1 million. So you have to pay us the taxes first. and then we'll send you the $1 million. And the people in Toledo sent them $30,000 to pay the taxes. I'm not kidding. This is real. Okay, other scams. Well, let's talk about Microsoft calling. You get a phone call from Microsoft. We're monitoring your computer, and you're in a lot of trouble because you've got a scammer in your computer. I talked to one lady. You've gotten those? We get them at my house. And we're monitoring your computer. I've had people say, look, you're not monitoring my computer. Oh, yes, we are. You can't because my computer's in a box in the basement. No, we're still monitoring it, and you've got a virus in there. No. Now, I brought with me reports like this. This one's on sweepstakes and lottery scams. This one's on pop-ups like tech support. And I'll have them out in the lobby as you leave, if you're interested. The calls we get from tech support, I talked to one lady who was convinced that it was tech support. She was all set to, in fact, she believed it, and she sent them $400 to cover their services. 3 weeks later, someone called her up and said, those guys were scammers. We can get in and fix your computer, and she sent them another $400. And none of them were really tech support. Here's one. Because you pay your income taxes on time, you have been awarded a free government grant. I get this question every week. People say to me, and you know why? Because of Facebook. Because the criminals hijack the address books on Facebook, and they proceed to send messages out to everybody on your address book saying, I got a government grant for $10,000. It really works, and now call this number and you can get a grant too. Last Thursday, I got an email from a fellow who was all set to send $500 because he was told from a friend on Facebook that he was going to get a government grant. And of course, there's no such thing. Government doesn't give these grants out. Okay, how about this one? Ransomware. We're holding your computer for ransom. Businesses. I have talked to so many businesses. Someone in the office clicks on something and they proceed to upload ransomware and freeze the hard drives in your computers. The whole network. I talked to an attorney in Defiance. He said twice in a month the office was frozen by ransomware. And he couldn't unlock it. Now, what you do to protect your computer's network, number one, of course, have updated virus protection. Number two, for heaven's sakes, have a decent backup. Back up your stuff. And number three, train your people not to click on everything. That's the biggest headache. You got a pop-up that says pictures of the royal wedding or pictures of the plane crash or pictures of the flood, and they just click on it, and the next thing you know, you've got a cross and bones on your screen. Okay. I'm calling from the police. I'm calling from the veterans. I'm calling from the handicapped. I'm calling from the firefighters. Telemarketers calling you up for charity. Who are these guys? They're paid professional fundraisers, and most of the money you send them goes to their pockets. You are not helping the police or the firefighters or the veterans. And business people, again, are fooled by this all the time. Now, that screen there was a cancer crackdown that we worked with CNN on. 4 crooked charities that all claimed to be cancer charities. They were raising millions of dollars, and nothing went to cancer victims. In one case, one charity took in $17.4 million, and what they sent of the $17 million to the cancer charities was $53,000, less than 1%. All the rest of it went to their pockets. It was a terrible scam. Grandma, Grandpa, I'm in trouble. I'm calling from, and this says Peru, but Jamaica is one of the headquarters of this scam. I'm calling because I'm in trouble. I had the president of one of the local corporations here in Toledo, who had just retired, called me up. I know this fellow, and he said, the first thing he said was, "Dick, they got me." I said, "What happened?" "They got me." He says, "I got a phone call from my grandchild." He said he and some friends had rented a car in Peru. They were on a vacation. They had an accident. The police were there. He was in the hospital, and he said, "Grandpa, I'm counting on you to send me money. And don't tell Mom and Dad." He says, 4 times I went to the bank and took out money and sent it MoneyGram to my grandson in Peru. And the tellers at the bank were telling me it's a scam, don't do it. And I said, "Oh no, I know it's really him." Because you know what they do? The crooks go on, when they call you, they say, "Grandpa, I'm counting on you. Grandma, I'm counting on you because we had that wonderful party at your home last month, and my brother Billy was there, and my sister Susie was there, and we had that cake that Grandma made, and we played Frisbee in the backyard." They know all about your family because they're on your grandchildren's Facebook pages. And so they research you by using your grandkids. And they proceed, of course, to call you up and convince you that it's really your grandchild. Don't fall for it. Romance, online. You've heard the stories. There are so many people looking now for relationships online. And they use Match.com and eHarmony and Our Time and all the different services. I'm not saying they're bad, but I'm saying if you are involved or you know someone who's involved in a long-distance relationship with someone in a foreign country, and we had one fellow who was a soldier in Sudan, and this woman in Toledo was corresponding with him online. Months went by, and they were more and more in love with each other. And he said, as soon as I get out of the service, I'm coming in Toledo, and we're going to get married. But he says, right now we've got a problem here because the men in our unit don't have any good computer equipment. So she went to the Apple store at the mall and bought $80,000 worth of computers, and herself sent them to the Sudan to her soldier boyfriend, who, of course, did not exist. And we see this all the time. This is the most painful scam of all because you can't talk people out of it. They are convinced that they've won. I've seen people lose their homes, their life savings, sending it to their boyfriend or their girlfriend, and the money's gone forever. Puppy breeders, online puppies. We had a consumer in Knoxville call us in Toledo. She said, "I see that there's a breeder in Toledo who's selling French bulldogs, and I want to buy a French bulldog." So I saw this ad on the internet, and the breeder has beautiful pictures of their kennels and how they take care of the dogs in Toledo. So I'm ready to send her $900 for the dog plus $1,500 for shipping. But before I do that, I want to check with Better Business Bureau to see if it's legitimate. Well, it took us 5 minutes to confirm that it was a complete scam. There was no breeder. There were no puppies. 85% of the puppies and the dogs advertised on the internet are scams. 85%. And we have a study about that outside if you want to read it. It's fascinating. It turned out that the puppy breeder in Toledo, actually the website was managed out of Malta, and the people running the ads were out of the Ukraine, but they were using a Toledo address. Do not ever buy a puppy online unless you go to the location and see the dog for yourself. Bad checks. I just put an alert out on this last week. Businesses get checks to pay in advance. Law offices get bad checks all the time that they have to be careful about. What they'll tell you to do is deposit the check, and then the next day when the bank credits your account, take the money out and send it to us. We had a gentleman in Toledo that was all set to, he saw an ad that they were going to pay him $500 a week to wrap his vehicle in an ad for Monster drink. He was all set to do it. They sent him a check for $2,000. And what they said was, take the $2,000, deposit it in the bank, and then take $500 as your first week's salary and send $1,500 to this address in Michigan, and they will make up the wrap for your car, to wrap your car in a big ad for Monster. He did it, and of course the check was counterfeit. They're all counterfeit. If you are asked to deposit a check and then take some money out later and send it to some address, don't believe it. It's a scam. Well, one more, online games. Right now, Fortnite is the big one. I don't know if we have any Fortnite players here. It's 125 million people are playing Fortnite online, and it's full of bugs. It's full of viruses. It's a real problem. As I said, we have a bunch of reports out here that are interesting, and don't just take one and put it in the briefcase. If you take one of these reports, please read it. You'll learn something. These are fascinating reports. The last thing we do is teach ethics, and I mentioned that that's a really important new service of Better Business Bureau. Kids are hungry for this. And when I started in 1972, kids had ethics training. They had ethics education. They would get it at home, around the dinner table. They would get it at church. They would get it from the schools. They would get it from media. You would watch, there was the good guys and the bad guys. It's gone. Ethics is gone. The media is filled with unethical behavior. Every day we see about it, examples of this. So BBB has created a program called In Pursuit of Ethics. And one of the latest modules, I want to show it to you. It's not long. It just shows you about distracted driving, about how these kids are looking on their phones when they should be driving carefully, and they get into trouble. Let me take a quick look at this.
Yeah, Alicia, like that would happen. What the? Oh, well, that's just great. I don't think anyone saw me, but oh man, I'm in trouble now, and I won't be able to hang out with anyone. I can't tell whose car this is.
Mason, what happened?
We're proud that ProMedica Paramount is sponsoring In Pursuit of Ethics in the Toledo Public Schools, and Mercy Health is sponsoring it in the Oregon schools, and we're looking for more sponsors in the different outlying service areas because the kids need ethics training. They need ethics education. They're not getting it, and they're hungry for it. You know, I've been with the Better Business Bureau a long time. You all know that. And the problems have never been more serious than they are today. We're engaged in a constant fight against dishonesty and fraud, just like Rotary. I mean, Rotary, so many of you have called me or sent me emails of examples of scams you've received. And Rotary stands for truth and fairness and ethics, just like BBB does. We can't give up the fight. We've got to encourage consumers to be smart, protect themselves, and we've got to be a resource for them so that when they want to know what's going on, before they send the money, they know about Better Business Bureau and they come to us. And hopefully, we will never give up the fight for an ethical marketplace. At least that's That's why I've been doing this all these years. It used to be when I started with the Better Business Bureau, the first question I always got was, what's the biggest scam? Now the first question I get is, when are you going to retire? Please, what do you know? But seriously, we need to keep up the fight to protect our communities against fraud, and that's one of the things that we're very proud of at Better Business Bureau. So thanks for having me here today.
Do you have time for a question or two, maybe? Dick can take one or two questions if anyone has a question out there.
I've got a simple question. How often do you pay site visits to businesses to assess site visits? Like one of your members sends you information and you grade them.
Yeah,
do you ever visit their site?
Yes, sometimes we do. Not often.
What's the percentage? What's the percentage of visits?
Yeah, we really can't because we have files on over 50,000 businesses in our office in Toledo. But we do site visits when we have suspicions. Like, for example, the dog breeder. We did a site visit on that and confirmed that the breeder didn't exist. But we can't do it as much as we'd like to. I just don't have any people for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And I do encourage you all, these reports are out there on the tables. If you do take one, you'll really find them interesting. Thanks for taking a minute to read them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick, for a great program today. To show our appreciation, the Toledo Rotary Club Foundation will make a donation in your name to the Rotary International Polio Plus Fund. And we also want to present you with this book, Historical Tales of Toledo.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Please join us next week when our speaker will be Alan Trudell, the new music director of the Toledo Symphony Orchestra. Immediately following today's program, we are setting a record for committee meetings. Another record. I'm not sure I'm as proud of this one, but it's all right. It's great because it shows how active that our committees are. Community Service, Board of Governors room on the 3rd floor. Disability Service, Board of Directors room on the 3rd floor. International Service, North Cape room, 3rd floor. New Member Committee, Presque Isle room, 3rd floor. Vocational Service in the Waynesfield room here on the 2nd floor. And Youth Services in the Eagle Point room here on the 2nd floor. Again, I invite you to attend any of these meetings just to see what it's like, especially the service committees as we vet the grant requests this year. And you're invited to attend any meeting any time in the year to see if you might want to serve on that committee. At this time, I'd like to invite past President Charles Mann to the podium to share his good humor.
At past President Walter's suggestion, Dick, not no-tie Dick, Dick the Speaker, sent me these questions that the phone calls, I assume, that the Better Business Bureau received actual phone calls. I want my dumpster emptied. It's filled with Amazon wrapping, and they don't pick up for a week. The trailer park where I live has only one tornado shelter at the other end, and they won't let me bring my dog in. I want them to dig a new shelter at my end of the park and let me bring in my dog. I wrote a check for $31. Can the BBB tell me what it was for? Why did I write it? I just want to complain about my new wood floor. It is discolored. The company is just giving me the runaround. They say that it is possible the moisture comes from my dog peeing, but this is a lie. He pees on the furniture, cabinets, and walls, but not on the floor. I want to complain about this company that keeps calling me 3 or 4 times a week. This is driving me crazy. I work in a meat processing plant, and it's very inconvenient to have to wipe the blood and guts off my hands every time the phone rings. And I'll leave you with this. This is not one of those. A woman gets on the bus with her baby. The bus driver says, "That's the ugliest baby I have ever seen." The woman walks to the rear of the bus and sits down fuming. She says to the man next to her, "That driver just insulted me." The man said, "You go up there and tell him off. Go on, I'll hold your puppy for you."
Thank you, Chuck. Well, that's it for our meeting today. I hope you have a great week. Let's remember to be servants out there so we can be the inspiration. We are adjourned.